Okay, so today I want to look at the transform controls tool and I want to look at the perspective as well. I'm going to show you through both of those. So to start with, this is me, my motorbike, and there's the background that I cut myself out of. Now I haven't clone stamped the background back in, which you can see if I turn off layer 1, there's just me on my bike and then another layer of just me on my bike. Just a quick of what I'm going to do, something similar to that without that test one. So quite simply, the image has got bigger, but it's also changed in perspective. I've angled it towards us slightly to give it the effect that it's coming close to the screen. So it's quite a simple technique. I'm going to walk you through that now. I'm just going to delete what I've done. So like I say, I've got the background layer, which is me on my bike in the hills, and then I've got a layer of just me on my bike. So to start with, I'm going to select layer 1, which is just me on my bike. I can see by looking at the thumbnails. And I'm going to grab the move tool so that I can move that image around. I can put it wherever I want on the screen, doesn't really matter. But it's quite good where it is at the moment, covering up the original image. If you look across the top toolbar here, we can choose whether we want to auto select the layer. So if we've got that selected and you look over in the layers palette, when I click the background, okay, it would usually select the background right there. If I click that motorcycle, it selects layer 1 for us. I can auto select group. These are quite useful when you're working with images with a lot of different layers. It becomes more of sort of a desktop publisher than an image editor at that point, but it's quite useful to know that's there. We've also got an option called show transform controls. If you check that, you get a dotted grey box come around the image. Now, I don't know if you can see that on YouTube. If I turn the background off, that doesn't really help it that much. You can see these handles. If you take the mouse towards the handles, you get different shapes. Now, different shapes mean different things. If you get the little curved bit that looks like that, it means that you can rotate the image. Really nice and simple. Just like if you're using PowerPoint or something like that. If you get a diagonal handle, you can pull it in, but then that gives you the ability to free transform it. So you can drag it in and across and make it really tall and thin. You can make it really wide and quite short if you want. If you're not happy with what you've done, hit the escape key. If you want to keep it into perspective, you need to hold down the shift key, and then when you stretch it, you can't actually resize it in any other shape. At this point, we've got loads of options across the top, which by all means feel free to have a look at. It's more referencing where the handles actually are, and you can set up the exact dimensions if that's what you want to do. But the most important thing you need to do is when you're happy with your changes, hit the enter key, and Photoshop will do what it can to sort that image out. So if I turn the background layer back on, I can see myself underneath the new image. There I am on the left, or in the centre, and there's a new image I've made that's a bit bigger. Now I could spend a little while lining that up and trying to make it look right, but let's be fair, the feet are floating and I haven't copied the shadow. It never is going to look right. What I need is the feet off the ground, somewhere around, I need the feet hidden, sorry, somewhere around there, and if I make the bike a little bit bigger, then it changes the perspective of it. It makes us believe that's close to the camera. Next trick I'm going to use is a perspective trick, and there's a few different ways to get into this, but the easiest way is to go into your edit menu and look under transform and find perspective. You've got a few other options down here. By all means, have a click, have a play in your own leisure. But if you look at the perspective tool, this box now goes quite solid, and you have to play with this to figure out what each one does. So if we drag one of the bottom corner handles to the left, it brings the bike up. If we take it the other way, it'll take it down, and you get some quite comical effects sometimes. Let's try and put that back. If we go up, it'll then take this pane back, and it's sort of rotating it then across the z-axis. If we pull it forward or down, it'll bring it the other way across the z-axis. If you use the top ones, it then sort of leans it all over, and you can lean it back the other way if that's what you actually want to do. So you could maybe, if we left the image there, in fact, it would make it look like the bike is pulling off and banking to the rider's left-hand side. So the perspective gives you quite a few abilities. Now, what might you use the perspective for? That's where it gets a little bit tricky. When you start using it, you find that you'll use it all the time. For example, if you want to put an image, you take an image from one canvas onto another canvas, and you might be trying to stick it onto like a billboard or something, and the image of the billboard is at a slight angle. Then you need the perspective tool to just line those images up. Maybe you're trying to fit text subtly onto someone's t-shirt, you're going to need the perspective tool to just get the angle of the text right. So have a play with that tool, remember that it's there, use it as much as you can, get used to using it, and the more you use it, the more uses you're going to find for it.